Sure.
So you were the fight choreographer on Street Fighter, right? Training those fighters and
Yeah.
working with Van Damme. Can you share some fun experiences from that movie?
Well, you know what? Most of all, I tell you what. Uh, I trained them 3 times a day. In the morning, we all got up and we ran at 6 in the morning, sunrise. When the sun was coming up, it was the best time to run. And I would take them all and we would run. Okay? And the one that always challenged me in the run was Jay. Yeah. Jay,
Who?
he was the one Vega. And
Oh,
so,
that guy. Yeah, he was in really
yeah,
good shape.
yeah. Oh my God. But I tell you what, but he always the one was challenged me in the run. And so after we ran, and then at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, when the sun was overhead, I would train everybody. I would train everybody physically, and I would train everybody and show about picture fighting, and I would show, and I was giving them an idea of really all the defense and offense movement, so that way when I choreograph, they already knew bobbing, slipping, weaving, faking, feinting, parry. They already knew my language of learning how to block to work. So that way, um, they had a good idea of when I was choreographing that when I would say something like body block left, they knew exactly what I was telling them to do. And so I had a little code of when I teach actors and so forth, I teach them. I usually the hardest part is in the first week because the first week there's a lot of them that are actors that are older and they always resist. So it
Sure.
takes me a week to get them out of their head, and then they start to get involved, and then I can really work with them. And so I can, some of them, I took 42 pounds off of Brian Dennehy for, well, when let's put it this way, my job was to sculpture them for the character they were playing
Mhm.
and to get them prepared. So in front, when I choreographed, they really understood the words that I was using from leg checks to body blocks to redirects. They understood it. And so that was the first week is always hell week because most of them resist. And then there were some that just loved it. They didn't
Oh,
even care.
sure.
They just loved learning it. And so uh, Street Fighter was very unique because each character had a different, I had to look at them in a different way. And so they would be different. And so they fought differently. And so I would choreograph things that would to their character. And in my mind, I created certain looks, certain words, and mostly sometimes I would look at them as certain animal movement, and the certain animal movements and how they strike. Some were bigger, some were smaller, some were faster, some were. So that's how I pretty much choreographed in each character when there was always a group of people. So because each actor was different,
Oh,
so I
sure.
had to choreograph different to each actor and to their character. And some were street fighting, some were, you know, uh, should I say military fighting? Everybody had different ways of fighting because of their character, and that's what I was creating. I was creating the character, the fights uh, in their character and what they were playing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's kind of become a cult classic in many ways. Did you work with Van Damme much though? Because he played Colonel Guile, of course.
You know what? Van Damme already, he when he came from Belgium, he was really a good kicker. He already had good stretch. He comes from a dancing background and so forth, so he had really good stretch and beautiful kicks. So as far as doing the choreography on it, so most of the time I would work with the other actor, and he would like to do some of his movements because he knew himself better.
Oh,
So
okay.
and I would, so he would do certain things, and I would get the one that he was fighting. I would choreograph certain moves for so that way it would work out. So the things he wanted to do, I would say, okay, he's going to do this, this, and this. What would you do? And then he said, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I said, okay, then he's going to come back and do this, this. So that's how I pretty much choreographed with Van Damme because he kind of knew what he wanted to do. And
That makes a lot of sense. He seems like the kind of guy, especially back in that era, that would really want to kind of I mean, he knows his strengths, right? He came to America already like a karate champion and knew what he could do and how he wanted to basically, you know, showcase it on film and even help him with like editing and everything. So it makes sense that
yeah.
he would have input on that. And Bloodsport, Lionheart, etc.